right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ellis County Commission meeting. All those capable, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call roll?
Commissioner Neil Younger.
Present.
Chair Nathan Liker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. The order of business, are there any amendments or considerations that we need to take into account?
I have none.
Okay. Moving on, prior minutes.
Everything looks good.
Okay, I agree, so the minutes will be approved. Next, we have the consent agenda. Do you have any questions upon that?
I have none. I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through G.
I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, consent agenda is approved. At this time, is there anyone from the public not on the agenda that wishes to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on. The monthly financial report. Have you had a chance to examine that, Commissioner?
I did. Everything looks good. A lot of stuff going on.
Yep, I agree. Okay, moving on. The Wild West Fest request. Yep, come on up.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Emily Knowles with the Wild West Fest, and I just came to ask to see if the commissioners would waive the dump fees for the event. Is that it?
Okay. Is this something that we have done in the past or ever before?
You've done it for the Oktoberfest, but I don't think that they've done it for Wild West Fest, but this is my first year.
Okay. And this will be the municipal waste. This will go in our transfer station. Approximately how much does it usually haul off? Any ideas?
I don't know. I think that we get 2 30-foot roll-offs, but I'm not 100% sure how much they cost. I think that the ones from Wild West Fest come from Roof Masters.
Okay. So it'd be fairly similar, probably?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the dump fees for Oktoberfest, for comparables, for 2 30-foot roll-offs was around $200 to $300, I
Okay.
think.
I have no problem. That helps our community out. Anything helps, so it all adds up.
It does.
All right. I really have no other further questions.
Nope.
So with that, I'll move to waive the municipal waste fees for the 2024 Wild West Fest.
And I will second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate
Emily.
Thank
it.
you.
Have a great day.
You
Too.
too.
Okay. Next, we'll move into the outside agency funding. At this point, I'm gonna turn it over to Darren to describe how we're looking at changing our process now that we have everyone here. We'll be moving to a new process or a similar process that's used in other situations. So, Darren, at this time, if you'd like to explain this.
Sure do. Thank you. Darren Myers, the county administrator. So just while we have everybody here this morning, just kind of want to explain the process of what the commission has done. I'll probably get into some numbers, and it's probably just going to go in one ear and out the other because of how it actually works with our mill levy. But I'll try to do my best to not confuse the heck out of everybody. But the process of what is going to happen, and I'll scroll down here so everybody can see the different, I'll probably need to zoom out a little bit. Should be about everybody there. So the commission has decided to split all the outside agency funding requests into 2 different requests. Basically, the first column in the blue there are all the agencies that will come back, just as you've always done in the years past, to the county commission. So just to review those, if you can't read that far out, DSNWK, the KidLink program with DSNWK, High Plains Mental Health, Grow Hayes, the Conservation District, the Historical Society, Access Transportation, and the Humane Society. And those were brought forth in that order based on different things, federal grant funding matches that come with your programs, or some idea of that there's some type of state statute that there's something that is linked the county to your organization, that there are some type of funding allocations that the commission is obligated to go with you. The others, so going through those, Western Kansas Child Advocacy Center, Casa of the High Plains, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Ellis Alliance, Foster Grandparents, Senior Companions, Hayes Senior Center, Northwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging, Victoria Mill Site, Ellis Nutrition Center, Center for Life Experience, Options Domestic Violence, Heartland Community Foundation, Hayes Arts Council, and the Northwest Silver-Haired Legislature. Those will all next year go through a different process, and those will all go through the Care Council. And the Care Council will, I'm assuming most of you already have gone through them in the past. It'll be the same process. So before I forget, I'm holding the cards just so I don't forget, but Erica Burgess, she's the director of the United Way. She's sitting in the back there. If you don't know her, she'll be your point of contact for the next process on funding. If you don't know her, she's here for you, so that way you can put a face to her name. And if you need her contact information, she gave me her cards, so that way I can hand those out to you. And if you have any questions, still please feel free to let me know, and email me, call me, and I'll be able to help. But that new process for the Care Council is kind of shift a little bit this year, and then for the 2025 budget, and then it'll be a little bit different for the 2026 budget. So for next year, for 2025, the commission has set aside to kind of help with how the market's doing, the housing, how our budgets actually fluctuate. It's all tied to the mill levy. So for this year's budget, 2024, we actually use the 2023 mill levy rate. We collect taxes last year for this year's budget. And that total amount, this is where I'm going to probably get into some area that you really don't, may not care about. But this year's mill levy for the 2024 budget that we taxed and levied in 23 totaled $512,475. And we tried to find a nice round number so that way we can associate a round figure with the mill levy every year to say this is what the cap is going to be for how much funding will be sent to the outside agencies. And that's 3/10 of a mil. So that 3/10 of a mil off that 512,000 equals out to $153,742. So that'll be the total amount based on how much the commission will allocate to you all's funding request for 2025. And as you can see on the sheet here, those agencies that we just listed, the total amount requested this year is $168,912. The total allocation will be $153,742, which means there's just over a $15,000 difference compared to what is requested compared to how much will actually be funded. So that's how this year's process will work with you all here today, presenting to the commission. The commission will use that $153,000 determination on how much will be appropriated to next year's request. Now, how it will change next year, when I say next year is 25 for the 26 budget, is that's when you start going through the whole entire process with the Care Council. They have a online website that you'll submit your request to, and those will be done approximately October, November, and December.
It'll start in September.
Start in September. And I'll send out an email reminder so that way, since there is a change, to kind of help with those agencies with that different change. You'll submit your request to the Care Council in that time frame, and then the Care Council will receive all those packets put together by Erica and disseminate those out to the Care Council. They'll take those funding requests and they'll then contact you out, and you'll have site visits, interviews. I'm not sure what all it entails, but they'll come out and see your operation and or what you all are doing. And like I say, some of you have already done this in the past. And then at the beginning of the year, the Care Council will meet and determine how much everybody will get. next year's number, so you're starting the 26 budget at the end of 24 here, but you'll be notified earlier next year what your 26 allocation will be, and that'll be in roughly March timeframe. So next year's number won't be that 153,000. It'll be determined on what taxes are collected at the mill levy rate for this year. So if our mill levy rate, if the housing market continues to go up, that 153,000 might turn into 160,000. But if times start to turn and the housing market starts to decline, that number will decline, and then the funding request will decline. So, but the 24 mill levy will be used for the 2025 timeframe when you get your allocations for 26. So at least I'm seeing some head nodding on how all that works. But like I say, I do have some cards here from Erica Burgess with United Way. And I just wanted to kind of express all that on how that'll work next year, and then see if there's any questions from anybody.
Would be for all of those agencies?
The agencies on the right, so out of all the agencies that we have, the Care Council will not view DSNWK, the Kid Link program, High Plains Mental Health, Grow Hayes, the Conservation District, Historical Society, Access, or the Humane Society. So for the Heartland Community Foundation, you'll go through the Care Council next year. Any other questions? Does anybody want a card from Erica Burgess for her contact information? I'll leave them by the door in case somebody does want them. Erica, do you have anything that I may have not expressed right?
No, I think everything's right. Just for those, I'll probably have like a meeting early September for everybody to come in, and I can show the process so you're not going in it totally blind, so you can only see the online applications.
Okay.
From a commission standpoint, we're trying to make this more for these programs to give them more time instead of a quick budget presentation here today, give them more time to make with the Care Council and let those businesses and organizations present themselves in a little bit better light, because I know it gets nervous when people have to get up here and talk, and we just like to give them the time that they should be allotted. So we're trying to do this and make it right for everyone. Go ahead.
So those of us that already get money from Care Council, like Cost of the High Plains, I'm already funded through Care Council to a certain degree, and I'm funded through city commissioner, county commissioners to a certain degree. I'm not necessarily looking at a funding cut. I'm not looking at one or the other. It's just a blend. At this
Correct.
point. Okay.
So when
So-
you fill out your application with the Care Council, there's check boxes, you click the City of Hayes, United Way. They'll make a new box on there that says Ellis County. So it's going to make, for those of you that are already going through the Care Council, the only process you're going to have to change is you're going to have to click one extra box, and that's all you're going to have to do for this new, so it's a lot more efficient.
Would you still like to see us for quarterly updates, or is that not how you look?
That's totally up to you guys. We will take it, but if you feel that you don't want to, that's my thought. I don't know what Commissioner Liker, but
We can address, I mean, it wouldn't have to be quarterly. We do appreciate you coming through and giving the updates and sharing the statistics of what's going on with your organizations. We do enjoy that. Are we going to require that? That's to be debated coming forth.
it's just something that the people that do watch that don't make it to the meetings can see that you guys are very interested in.
Just for a little history on that too, that decision was made several years ago before some of our commissioners were on, and it's kind of just carried over every year. The thought when the commission started to ask the outside agencies to come back and present to the commission was that since there was property tax dollars being spent to fund some of these, it was the commission at that time thought it was best to bring that information back to see how those tax dollars were being spent in the community by having those updates.
decision made to use United Way for this process?
Commissioner Burgess is very familiar with the process, and he had made the suggestion, and as being a city commissioner, that's how the city of Hayes had done it. And then during the commission retreat, the proposal was presented at the retreat for all staff to consider on how much time it would save in the process, but also trying to cap what it is, because as you can see in the agenda, over the last couple of years, the outside agency funding request has, what was it, 24% increase? So, in trying to keep in mind of property tax dollars to keep something at a level, and that's where that 0.3 of a mil came in at as well. And then it came back here about a month or so ago to be presented to the commission for consideration.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll start with our outside agency requests. So first up, we have Grow Hayes.
Good morning. I'm
morning.
Doug Williams, Executive Director of Grow Hayes. My dad used to tell me when you're going to a bank and asking for money, always go first thing in the morning because the banker hasn't had time to get into a bad mood. So I appreciate being first on the list here. And I also appreciate I've got another appointment I'm going to have to run to, but I appreciate you letting me go first. But first off, I want to thank you for your past support. I believe that Grow Hayes and Ellis County have a very special bond. You've been very good to us, funding our community center request here a few weeks ago, or at least considering it, and our annual requests that allow us to do the things we do, and I think we've done some great things. I think I had provided Darren, I'm sure he provided you with a whole lot of paperwork on some of our projects and that kind of thing, so I would certainly open it up to questions if you have any. We did request $180,000 for 2025. That is the same amount we requested last year, but you provided 170, and we're very thankful for that, but we did ask for 180,000 this year. So with that, I would open it up to any questions you might have.
I have no questions, but just, in your packet, you can see what you guys have been doing, so it's pretty much telling us what's going on. in
We've
our
been busy,
community.
and our latest project we're trying to get off the ground, I think would make a significant impact on Ellis County with sales tax activity if we can get this retail project going. I know you get a 0.5% sales tax, so that's important to you, and that would be a big boost in that regard.
Well, I guess it's kind of front and center here on my screen, maybe not up there, but never let your chance in front of a microphone go to waste. How are we doing on your microfactory?
We have a number of prospects. We don't have anybody in there now. It's a bit of a struggle because of what we have to limit the amount of space and the type of industries that would go in there. So we've had a couple people that would have liked to have had the whole thing. We've had others that have not been probably a very good fit because of some fairly extensive remodeling or updates they'd have to make. And so we continue to search out there, but at this point, it's a great spot with nobody in it. So we're eager to get somebody in there as soon as we can, but we don't have anybody on the dotted line today.
Okay. And your developments are still going, the Tallgrass Edition and such?
They are. They should be completing the street on Wheatland Drive for another 12 lots in the next 30 days. We have started the engineering process for the next 80 lots to the north of the existing development. And then the Grove engineering for streets and that type of thing should be finished any day now. And we hope to be out for bids on the streets and sewer and water and that kind of thing pretty quickly. And then we're also working with the City of Ellis and the City of Victoria a little bit on some housing projects in those communities as well. So lots going on with housing.
Okay. Do we have enough developers helping build these houses?
That's a challenge. Builders is an issue, and then of course subcontractors, because a builder can't do it all. They basically coordinate everything. So I know we've got slabs on the ground and basements on occasion that are waiting for a framer. And then the framer gets it framed, and then you're trying to coordinate the electrician or the plumber, and it's kind of a fine balancing act. I know everybody in this community is very busy with all the projects that are going on, but we're persevering and making progress. So I think bit by bit, we'll just keep chipping away at it.
Okay. Well, thank you, and I appreciate you coming this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Doug.
it.
Okay. To my next page here. Next, we have access public transportation.
Good morning, good
morning.
Commissioners. My name is Wade Cruz. I'm the Transportation Manager for DSNWK and Access Public Transportation. This year, we're asking for the same amount of funds we had received last year, $50,000, to help offset as a local match for our KDOT funding that we get from the state of Kansas and from the FTA. Nothing's really changed too much at Access. We're still doing about 30 to 40,000 rides a year, so we still do the county runs 3 days a week. So the funds we receive from the commission just helps us offset the local match funds that we need to do our operational and admin side of our process. So,
Okay. Got a couple questions on your
Sure.
on your presented budget, and
Yeah.
this will go for the other part of DSNWK as well. But under expenses, it has, just for the public's knowledge, it has fringe benefits and travel, and they're some pretty high numbers. Are those in your the travel? Is that the runs that you're doing with the buses?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Well, that makes sense then on what that is.
sure,
So, and on the fringe, is that like the health insurance and
Yes.
such as that?
yeah. We provide health insurance and 401k, the CAPERS program to the state, since we are funded through 80% and 70% from the state. On admin is 70 and operational is 80%. We go through the CAPERS program
Okay.
with the state of Kansas.
Okay. Well, when you see those two line items, it just
Sure.
rings for a question. So I wanted to verify that
No,
information.
that's fine.
Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions?
Nope, just keep up the good work.
All righty. I do appreciate you guys' time and appreciate the funds that we receive from you guys every year.
Okay. Thank
right.
you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate you coming.
You bet. Have a good one.
Next, we have Developmental Services of Northwest Kansas.
I like that banked curve you got there. Good morning, everybody. Jerry Michaud, Developmental Services, Northwest Kansas. I'm the Executive Director, President, CEO there. Thank you for the opportunity to come before the Commission and present our budget request. Similar to last year, we are requesting $250,000 in county support. Our request, I think we put that out here at the end of May. It's a little less than the amount of local funds that are needed to fill the gap between our federal and state resources that we receive for services. I'll jump into the report right away. This is based on calendar year 2023. And for the county, we serve 159 FTE persons served. Their services will look as unique as they are. So we'll have some folks that'll have full-time, full service. Some will have partial service. And you can see that the services are listed on the left-hand column there. Our College for Living would be our day services. Work services is kind of self-explanatory. That and job placement are all employment-based supports. Residential services would be the kind of at-home, the outside of the day hour and weekends supports. Targeted case management is a service coordination, helping people to navigate the complexity of Medicaid and that world, and then our admin for the Community Developmental Disability Organization. So you look to the far right column, and it identifies the local funds that are needed for each of those services based on those numbers of individuals in the various services. And then down to the bottom, you'll see that total cost of service is $6,449,000. And then the amount of federal and state funds that we receive, a little over $6 million, $6,083,990. That leaves the balance of that $365,450, and the county support of $250,000 certainly helps in a big way to close that gap. And so we very much appreciate that. That unmet cost is just the difference that you see there. The next piece that I wanted to touch on, and I think this is, we share this report each year, but it's the economic impact. And when you look at our organization, the number of people, we serve the 18 counties, of course, but the lion's share of services are right here in Ellis County. And so that economic impact breakdown for 2023 was $9.5 million. That's a significant impact in this for this county. And we give the kind of the 5-year running of that. You might notice that between 2022 and 2023, there was a significant jump that related to a significant increase that we received in state funding for to elevate our wages. So that was a welcome benefit, but you can see the impact also goes up in that regard. So there's a summary sheet called DSNWK's impact that kind of gives a breakdown of what that 18 county view looks like in terms of staff and people served. On that second page, it kind of breaks down those various services, and you'll see the long bars are all associated with Ellis County. Well, that's because that our presence here is a significant. Wanted to talk a little bit about waiting list. You may have heard in the news that the legislature this last session put some resources in to reduce the waiting list. It's over 5,300 statewide. With a 10-year wait, they brought 500 people off the wait list. You might be interested to know how many of those folks might be from Northwest Kansas, and it's probably 20, less than 20, maybe 18 to 20. They haven't released the those letters to the offering services to those folks, but they're right in. I mean, it's like right happening right now in the state. So we're excited for those families that have been waiting for 10 years to finally come into service. I will tell you that it does create, in the midst of workforce challenges that we all are facing, how do you help connect all those pieces together? So I would just summarize by saying, we continue to stay committed to our mission. We couldn't do it without the support of this county and all of our counties. It takes resources, and we all know that the cost of trying to do things these days is kind of crazy. I'll stand for any questions. There's probably lots more I could share, but in the interest of time, I'll stop there.
Okay.
Are you fully staffed?
We are down 25 positions across the 18 counties. 10 of those are here in Ellis County. So it's a struggle.
That is a challenge.
Yes.
Very much so. I appreciate you coming today. I guess I'll ask the same questions I did of the access portion. The two line items that are on the budget that are just kind of stick out are the fringe benefit side and the travel expense side. They just seem very high on a presented budget. So could you explain those a little? Right.
Well, fringe is all the, I think, way to talk to it's health benefits. Every time you have an increase in wages, which we did experience with that jump in our rates, you have the corresponding increase in all of the others. Okay. So that's a big part. We also have a large region, and the transportation that's just a reality in getting people around for services. So.
Okay. Well, appreciate you explaining that.
Sure.
So it just, from the outside looking in for a public standpoint.
Oh, no, I definitely appreciate that. I would wish that they weren't going up like they are.
Right?
With Ms. Commissioner Liker, does that help and retain your employees? That benefit?
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely does. So, yeah, sometimes it's hard to put a price tag on that with our younger generations, particularly when you get into those, they may not have the same face. They may not look like it on the face value, but they are very, very important.
Okay.
So,
Well, I appreciate you coming this morning and presenting.
sure. If you ever have any questions, please reach out.
Okay.
Will do. Thank
And
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for support.
Next, we have KidLink with DSNWK. Here we are.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah Biggs.
Morning.
Good morning. Director of Programs and Services at DSNWK. One of the branches that I oversee is our KidLink Early Intervention Program. So obviously serving children 0 through 3. Our goal is to get into the home, provide those services to the babies. Yeah, it might be a variety of, their foot's turned out, or maybe they aren't babbling or crawling like they should be to hit those milestones. So again, going in early, trying to correct those and start them off on the right foot when they get into the school settings. Requesting $120,000. This will be our 3rd year working in Ellis County for early intervention. Let's see. Staffing wise for us, we've been very lucky with staffing. We do have a physical therapy position, just super hard to find that is open. This past year we did serve almost 80 children. There was roughly, I want to say 118 kiddos total that we did screenings for. We've been partnering with our Part B program through the school district, and we partnered with them for 10 screenings to the community free of charge to families. All of our service is completely free to our families, no matter your income level, no matter your need. Like I said, it could be speech-related, PT, behavioral health. Our travel is always provided, our services are always provided in the child's natural setting, mainly the home. So our staff are continuously traveling for all of the services we provide, trainings that we provide for our staff, and of course the same benefits as DSNWK as a whole for insurance, keepers, what have you. Do you guys have any questions?
This program specifically hasn't been under your care except for the past 3 years?
Not in Ellis County. Our footprint outside of Ellis County has been numerous years. Prior, it was the Children's Center that had here in Hayes, Ellis County, that was providing the Part C services, and they were having some staffing struggles. So the state had asked us if we would be willing to step in and provide the service in Ellis County. So it was a pretty natural fit since we're
Already?
here.
Okay. Got it.
Just comment, thanks for what you do. Take care of them kiddos and
Yeah. Thank you guys for
That's
your
special.
support. Yes, we appreciate you guys. So thank you. Have a great day.
Hey,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for presenting. Okay. Next, if I'm right, we have Silver-Haired Legislature.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm Alan Schmidt, and I'm your Ellis County elected representative to the Kansas Silver-Haired Legislature. You were provided some information, but I'll just briefly go over a few things because a lot of people don't know what the SHL is in Kansas, but it was established as an organization in 1982 by the Kansas Legislature, and it's unicameral. There's no political leading in the organization, but our primary role is to represent the senior issues in Kansas, and I'll tell you there's about 650,000 seniors in Kansas. So there's 125 of us statewide, one per county until you get to the larger counties, Johnson, Sedgwick County, and they have more representatives. We gather annually at Salina to go over resolutions, to try to work legislation in support of senior issues. We do that in Salina once a year, and then we gather together in Topeka for 3 days, and we actually use the House chamber and pass resolutions that go to the legislators for the next session. We do that in October in preparation for this session. So what I'm asking for today is, it does cost an individual to go to that, and asking for $500 just to cover the travel, the lodging, those type of things. Doesn't cover all of it, but it helps out a lot, and that would support anybody else that follows me. I've got a couple of years left on my term, and then there'll be another election. We are facilitated really by the Northwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging, and so the dollars will go to them, and then whoever is in this position would ask for the reimbursement of the expenses from those meetings.
Okay.
Any questions?
What are some of the topics that your legislature has passed or brought up?
Well, there's a number of them. One of them is the expansion of Medicaid in Kansas. That's been on the list for a number of years. Wireless broadband access for all senior Kansans, that's a big deal. Fully funding CAPERS, and there's been some success with that. Cost of living adjustment for retired CAPERS members. One of them that's been on there for a while and we're asking for is to provide support for travel, particularly in rural Kansas, because we have a lot of people out here that are senior that, can't get to a grocery store within 20, 30 miles. So that's been a big one we've supported. And then there's a number of others that, come up. They're some are the same every year, but we come up with new items. That's what we do in Salina, pick out the ones we're going to go forth with to Topeka, and then we go through the whole process and pass those resolutions officially with the group there that go on to the Kansas legislature in January.
Just curious, how big is that group when you?
125.
Okay.
So you got the 105 counties, you got one from each county, plus Sedgwick, Johnson County, and I think a couple others have additional members just because of their population. So, and you don't have to have hair, by the way. I don't know why they called it that, but it's a friendly term for most of us.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
I have none at this time.
Well,
thank you for presenting.
Yeah, and thank you for funding
Thanks,
in the
Alan.
past. I appreciate that, and we do good things for seniors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have the Heartland Community Foundation.
Good morning, Sarah Meitner with the Heartland Community Foundation. Thank you so much for having us here today. I am, first want to thank you for the $5,000 contribution that that the county has been making to the Ellis County Legacy Fund. The Ellis County Legacy Fund is the backbone of our granting here in Ellis County. In 2023, we granted $393,000 and change out to 79 organizations for 147 projects. In Ellis County, it was about 133,000. I know I have it on here, 134,900. So we're happy to support organizations and the good work that they're doing. Coming in 2025, we will again have a match month, and that's what our $5,000 request is for, again today. We were so excited after we finished match month this past, in 2024, this past February, we passed the $1 million mark in our Ellis County Legacy Fund. That had been a 10-year goal that we accomplished in 8 years, so we were really pleased to see that. And just keep growing from there. The Dane G. Hansen Foundation will again be matching those gifts. This year, the Patterson Family Foundation offered an additional match. We haven't heard whether or not that will be on the table for 2025. We have some really exciting things happening. I announced last week to the nonprofits and to our fund holders in particular that we're going to have our first Community Giving Day in October. So save the date for October 10th. It's called Give Fest, the October Fest of Giving. So kind of trying to bring in our German heritage roots into the fun event, but we will be leveraging match dollars to help grow our nonprofit endowed funds. We have over 40 local organizations that have endowment, 40 organizations in Ellis County that have their endowed funds with us that we hold. So we're putting up the match dollars, and what will happen this time is that when a donor gives to their endowed fund, we will put up a dollar for dollar match or proportionate to total giving that they can use for immediate needs. So we'll be helping their grow their long-term pot, their savings pot with their endowed fund, but also recognizing that they have immediate operational needs, and we can help for that. When we grant dollars, tomorrow's grant day, so I don't even have the current, most up-to-date grant information for you, but when we grant that, it's generally for special projects, special programs. It's not for operational. So we're really excited to introduce Give Fest as a way to help toward salaries, toward utilities, toward rent or mortgages, and help in that way. So, and just encourage a culture of philanthropy. Our 4 primary goals as an organization are to encourage philanthropy in our community, have relationships with donors, strengthen our nonprofits, help facilitate community initiatives, projects, through strategic doing, some others, and then help build a legacy. So through planned giving, through the power of endowment, we can have a sustainable, enduring pot of money that can support our community. I talked a lot. Do you have any questions for me? I shared a lot of photos in my update, photos of some grantees that they've given us. I highlighted a couple of partnerships that we have with our youth programming. I'd be happy to answer any more questions.
Well, I appreciate the work that you're doing with your organization and bringing this to us. At this time, I have no questions.
Just comment, keep it up. You progress like you talk.
I do. I talk fast.
You make things
Sorry.
happen. There's another one in the audience that does that too. And you could almost pass for sisters.
I think I know who you're talking about. Amanda's sitting back there somewhere.
Yeah. So no, keep it up. You do
Okay.
a lot. The splash thing is, people are talking about that like, there's no tomorrow.
Good.
What a good addition you've done.
Well, I'd be happy to help facilitate a fund at any point to benefit a department within the county so that Ellis County itself can participate in Give Fest and can maybe look at that happening as well.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have options.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jennifer Hecker. I'm the Executive Director at Options Domestic and Sexual Violence Services.
I'm Andrea Cross. I'm the Development Director. And we're here to kind of fill you in on what's gone on in the last year and make our budget request, of course. One of the things you probably noticed from our letter is that our services have gone up 147% since the last year, and don't be freaked out by that because that's good news. That means that people are accessing the services, and because they've always been there. People didn't just start experiencing domestic violence because we advertised more. 72% of our sexual assault services and 57% of our domestic violence services are provided right here in Ellis County. We are very active in the community. Jennifer's going to tell you a bit about lethality assessments.
Yeah, so we have been, I'm just going to brag on our police and law enforcement in Ellis County for a minute. We started working on developing a lethality assessment program back in 2023. We actually started it before COVID, and then, COVID happened and everybody had to go to neutral corners. But the number of domestic violence murders in Kansas is astounding. It's 25% of all murders in Kansas are related to domestic violence. And in Ellis County alone, the last 6 maybe 7 murders, were 100% of them were domestic violence murders. And so if we can eliminate domestic violence in our community and bring additional safety to people who are at very high risk, we can eliminate murder in our community. And that's pretty big. That's pretty big. And so we've been working with the Hayes Police Department and Chief Scheibler to develop a lethality assessment program. And in the process of developing the program, we brought in the other chiefs of the other police in Victoria and Ellis and the sheriff, with the idea to pilot this program. And Hayes Police Department was going to try it out, and the other law enforcement agencies were going to kind of watch how that progressed and make some determinations. And in the process of working through that, they all decided to jump in. And so every police department in Ellis County is participating in a lethality assessment program that is intended and designed to eliminate domestic violence murders. We were able to bring in trainers. We were able to leverage our resources at the state level to develop this and to get some technical assistance in our community so that we could launch that. And so we've been doing the program since January. And later this month, we'll be doing a mid-year review to see how things are going 6 months into the program. But that's a big deal to have every law enforcement agency in our county be so committed that they didn't even want to test it. They were ready to just jump in. That's a pretty big brag. And I think that when you look at the profile that we do each year in Ellis County, the arrest rate in Ellis County even exceeds the arrest rate for the state. About 78% of all domestic violence calls in Ellis County end in an arrest, which means more safety for our citizens. And so again, that's a pretty big brag that we have. We are also working on expanding our services. As Andrea said, our shelter services tripled. We provided about a little over 1,000 nights of shelter in the previous year. Last year, we provided over 5,000 nights of shelter. And so we are in the early stages of a capital campaign to bring additional shelter and triple our number of shelter beds in Ellis County, which is desperately needed. We know that number is going to grow as our lethality assessment program grows as well. And the other piece of that is adding transitional housing apartments. We're going to build 7 to 8 transitional housing apartments. That's so critical to keeping survivors safe. Often they go back because they don't have a place to live. And so if we can provide that place to live and a safety net during that process, we'll have more citizens that are safe and stable in our community. And the other thing that the funding that you provide helps us not only to provide direct services, but it helps us to meet our match for federal grants. We have several federal grants, many of which have match requirements. And so every dollar that you give to our organization helps us to leverage more federal dollars. And that translates into more services. All of our services are free. We provide a safe bar training for anyone in our community, any civic group that's doing a beer garden, any bar can get that safe bar training to know how to safely step in when they see predatory behavior in bars. And that helps to reduce rapes in our community. Sadly, many people do use alcohol as a weapon to put someone into a very vulnerable position. And so our free safe bar training is available to anybody. And our SANE program in Ellis County is a lifesaver for anyone who's experienced sexual assault. And we continue to work to develop those programs. We're building out a program in Goodland, and we're working with Russell County. And so the more that we can help build those programs out, the more relief it gives the hospital here in Ellis County, because right now Ellis County and Goodland are the only 2 places you can get a sexual assault nurse exam. And so,
in our service area.
Yeah, in our service area. So,
I did want to point out, kind of on the legal aspect, I kind of track cases and things now that I have that knowledge. And so far in Ellis County, you've had 178 criminal cases filed. Of those, 50 were domestic violence related, which is 28% of the cases filed in Ellis County are domestic violence related. There were additional 13 person crimes, which means that there was a victim, and often those are domestic, but they didn't get filed in that manner from, maybe a technical standpoint. If you add those in, Ellis County's victim crimes, 35.39%. So it's a serious issue. Our police are doing excellent work, but it's still a large issue. So, if we are building, purchasing a new building and providing 7 to 8 transitional housing units in a market that's tight and expensive, you know exactly what that impact is going to have. And so, that money gets spent here in Ellis County, so.
And we're able, through our work, we're able to partner with many different organizations in the community that are doing similar work. We are one of the few 24-hour crisis intervention programs. So through our partnership with the Children's Advocacy Center, for example, they don't have 24-hour services. And so if someone comes into the hospital at 2 o'clock in the morning, options gets called, and we are able to respond and then provide a soft handoff to the CAC. Tell the parents what to expect, those kinds of things. So, and those partnerships are really valuable because they help to leverage everyone's dollars without duplicating services. Yeah. Okay.
We like to talk, so you guys.
What questions do you have? What are you curious about? Yep.
Well, I was glad to hear about the Safe Bar program and some of the other programs you've started. Have you had much participation with those?
Unfortunately, not in Ellis County. We've had more success in outer counties. We did launch that during COVID, and so we've had a relaunch, and I think that, bars have been struggling to keep staff, and so there's some hesitation in having us come in and do this training, knowing that in 2 months or 2 weeks, they're going to have all new staff.
It is a free service, so they can contact us as many times as they'd like for us to come out and provide the service. I know that we did provide Safe Bar training to the Rock Against Rape servers at our most recent
At the event
event
center,
at the
Kiwanis.
home.
Kiwanis did Safe Bar training, I think it was last year. And there
And I
are
know
a few
I'm-
other bars in town.
And I know I'm
Names
talking with
escape me.
Russell Main Street too, I think they're gonna do it for their beer garden type activities as well, so.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming today, and thank you for presenting and doing the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we brought extra copies of the Ellis County profile and the
I do
Northwest
have-
Kansas profile so that you can have them available for anybody who would like to
I
have
do
them.
have something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sorry. Gotta
You're
tell
doing
me
a lot of talking, but look what you've done in the community. You've got the different towns, the cities, the law enforcement all involved. Now you keep saying, hey, we've got this involved, so that's what it's about. Everybody works together and we can make one.
Takes a village.
Thanks for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pass them out after.
Okay.
And just to pause for a moment, we do have Mary Porterfield with us, and our agency's now 41 years old, but 41 years ago, our agency started because Mary and several of her friends got together and decided we needed something like this, and she housed people on her couch.
Oh, wow.
How wonderful. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next, we have Center for Life Experience.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Laura. I'm the Executive Director at the Center for Life Experience. Excuse my voice this morning. It was a lot better yesterday, and it's just not working in my favor. We're requesting the same amount of money that we have in the past, and I always am interested to hear everybody. They have all these huge numbers, and they serve so many people, and we don't serve nearly as many people. but our services to the people that we serve are just as important. We currently have 3 support groups for people dealing with grief and loss. We have the Healing After Loss group, which is for adults who've lost another adult. We have our Healing Hearts group, which is for families who have lost a child. And then we have our Healing After Loss of Suicide group called HALOS, which obviously deals with people who have had a loss through suicide. Throughout the year, we also host several different events that affect a large number of people. They're open to the community as well. We have our Healing Kids Hearts Retreat, which we held in March. We actually had a child who was, I believe, 8 years old. His family traveled all the way from Garden City for him to attend that retreat because there are no other local retreats and there aren't other groups for kids that have experienced a loss. We also hold our John C. Thorne speaking series, which will be in January, and that's open to the community. I think this year we will have a speaker from the National Alliance on Mental Illness come to speak to groups or to the community. Right now we're actually working toward starting a new support group for foster parents and foster children, because there are no local support groups for families in that dynamic, and it is very unique. There are some other programs that they can be a part of, but they're a part of their process through St. Francis, so their attendance is tracked, and they have to tell people they've been there, that sort of thing. It's not just for them to come together and share their experience and spend time with other people in the same situation. So we're in the process of working toward that, which we hope to start that support group in August. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I have none.
I have no questions. I appreciate the work that you and your group does. It is felt, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have the Ellis County Conservation District.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Travis Groff, the chairperson for the Board of Supervisors for the Ellis County Conservation District. And I have Linda O'Neill here, who's our district manager, and Stephen Walters, who's the NRCS district conservationist for Ellis County. We do work very closely with the NRCS and the federal fund side of things. I think, you guys know us pretty well and what we do. Nathan, I know you've attended a couple of our farmer-to-farmer events, and I believe are taking advantage of some of the programs that either we or NRCS offer. But our role is to administer the cost share funds from the county, from the state of Kansas that we get matching funds from based on what the county gives us, and also our own funds to farmers and landowners, producers to get conservation on the ground. I know we updated you not too long ago about some of the success, but and I won't go into all that this morning, but one of the things I'm really proud of is how Linda and Stephen both work together as a team to bring additional funds into Ellis County from state funds that other counties don't use, or even federal funds that other states don't use. They're very good at getting those dollars here and getting producers in and getting those funds on the ground. So that's a big part of what we do as well. We thank you for the support in the past, and we're asking the same amount for the next year, which is a total of $72,646. I think with that, Stephen, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I can just give you a quick update on the federal side of things. With the influx of IRA dollars into the NRCS, the state of Kansas.
You might say what IRA means.
Oh, IRA, Inflation Reduction Act funds. Sorry, get stuck in all those. The state of Kansas was awarded about $30 million for IRA funds through EQIP and CSP. And to date, obligated funds that we will have here by the beginning of July, we were able to bring in $3.5 million into Ellis County. So that's through the hard work of the district and also the employees there. And what I'd like to emphasize in that is the amount of money times that gets into our producers' hands and circulates into seed dealers and fertilizer and everything else there. So significant dollars coming in, and that's only because we're able to work with our producers and bring that in. So appreciate your guys' support of the district.
Thank you.
And then one other thing we do have, I know last year we had 2 interns as well, right? This year we have 2 interns. One's a college student. I think that's going to graduate in December of this year from Fort Hays State. I think she's from Colorado, right? And I think she's doing pretty well. There's a pretty good opportunity that she may stay in the area and join the conservation movement. So, and then the other one's a high school student here at Hays High. So, and we'll continue to try to do that to kind of build up the pool of maybe future resources. So,
okay. And these dollars that you're getting, that you asked from the commission, these are mostly directly leveraged for exact grant dollars from the federal and state. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
I will make it to one of those meetings, and you guys always bring good support in and good information to us and to our community. You guys bring everything except the dirt in. You know, you guys are going strong. I appreciate that very much, and thanks for what you do.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for coming this morning. Next, we have High Plains Mental Health.
Good morning. This is Craig Poe with High Plains Mental Health. I'm the executive director. Good to see all of you again. Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
We have a formal request for High Plains Mental Health beginning on January 1st, 2025 of $299,974.42. And this is based on Ellis County's expected level of financial support as a member of the High Plains Interlocal Agreement, based on the formula and methodology that was adopted by our governing board and in coordination with the other 19 counties in our service area. We've discussed a lot of the programs that we're working on and moving towards, but I wanted to take a moment today just to talk about 2 things that are really going to have an impact on Ellis County, and I think it's going to be a bright future for what we're able to do for our communities. We have been researching and trying to find a way to open a crisis intervention center, and likely would look at Ellis County for the location for that. The Crisis Intervention Center is a lot larger facility than our Schwaller Center, which is called a Crisis Stabilization Unit. That unit serves individuals on a voluntary basis to come in and say, I'm struggling with mental health and need some help. And they will be able to get voluntary services for a 72-hour time period without getting an extension. The Crisis Intervention Center is something that we would be able to provide involuntary care. Most people that are in crisis are likely to refuse services and not be in their right mind and not understand what's going on. And when they need that help, they do need to be protected from themselves or others, and they end up in emergency rooms and in our law enforcement jail cells. And they are being protected in some ways from something worse happening at that time, but they're not getting treatment that they need. And in a crisis intervention center, they would receive therapeutic treatment to begin to get better right away, versus waiting in a hospital room or waiting in a jail cell to go to a state hospital, which is where involuntary care exists right now. It would also add the element of substance abuse as the only event that allows them to be checked into the Crisis Intervention Center. Mental health and substance abuse are comorbid with all cases that come in with substance abuse, or most. But we often are focusing on the mental health, and this would open up just the substance use element of it to have somebody come in and receive treatment within the Crisis Intervention Center. So look forward to finding ways to make that CIC a reality, and really feel like it will impact the area in a very positive way to serve our communities and our individuals who need help. One of the other areas that we're exploring and we are moving ahead with is TMS services, so transcranial magnetic stimulation. Depression is a large part of the increase in the mental health needs for not just this area, but all areas of the nation. And depression is the silent killer that is things we don't talk about. Part of the mental health stigma is we don't say that I'm not okay. Instead, we go through the day and act like nothing's wrong. And people who suffer with depression are often the individuals that are at least attempting, if not taking their own lives. TMS is a non-medicative treatment that is provided that has very substantial success rates. Dr. Romerine on our staff and myself spent a good time researching whether we would move forward with this project, and we just recently approved to move forward, and we'll have the machine delivered later this month. The impact on depressive symptoms is better than almost all medications out there. So an individual can come into our facility and be treated for depression, and currently it is looking at an 85% response rate, which means their depressive symptoms will be reduced by half, and a 66% remission rate, meaning they would no longer have depression symptoms. And I didn't spend a lot of time out in the weeds of how effective some of the medications are, but you take antidepressant medications and the impact is not nearly as large for some people. We're still going to try because we want to feel better, but this technology and this non-medicative option really will drastically change what we're able to do for an impact. And so the funding that you provide to us is certainly the reason why we're able to serve our clients and to explore products like this that I think will have untold measures on our communities and impact for us. So any questions or anything else I can help you with?
Well, those are some fairly lofty ideas and plans coming forward for Ellis County and the surrounding areas. I wish you luck on all that. Is that going to mean bigger facilities, more staff is what you're looking at?
It likely will. The TMS machine is something that we will put in our main treatment facility here in Hayes. And so that's not going to change a lot. It may require one additional position as things ramp up. The Crisis Intervention Center is likely to have anywhere from 30 to 60 additional staff and be serving a much larger area than just Ellis County. So we'll likely bring more individuals into the area and help grow.
Would that Crisis Intervention Center, would that remove some of the current population from our local jail? Is that what it's looking at doing?
If it's related to mental health and substance abuse, yes, it would certainly look at reducing that number when they're in there for a purpose that's not really about the jail. It's just the next best option for them. So, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, thank you for what you do, and you took big shoes to fill. So, like say, I see in our packet that, you know, Ellis County residents, you know, there was 1,913. Some of them were jail related, so, which is very good that you can help them people out. So I appreciate that very much.
Absolutely.
I have no further questions, so
I don't
I
either.
appreciate you coming this morning
Thank you.
and discussing this with us.
Thank you, and thank you for all your support.
Okay.
Okay. Next, we have CASA.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Jan Johnson. So first of all, thank you guys for funding us for as long as you have. I know you funded us through some pretty down years where the program, the numbers weren't necessarily reflecting very much. So thank you very much for that. And I know they've already scooted out of here, but Heartland Foundation, we've gotten involved with them with their endowment fund. Sarah's been great. She's been fantastic to work with. So that's one of the things we've got going in the positive direction for CASA is getting involved with them. Options has also reached out to us, partnering. They have a lot of similar interests with us. So some very pleased with a lot of the proactive outreach from other agencies here in Hayes. It's been very nice. I think I was about 3 weeks into this job when I first presented to you guys, and I didn't know Michael Burgess at the time, but I said something to the effect in my presentation that pretty much the funding goes, you know, 90% of it's to my salary. And he kicked back in his chair and he kind of covered his face because that's absolutely not accurate. Once this program gets running, the expenses of running this program successfully is large. You know, there's no such thing as free services. It all costs something. So in the paperwork that I provided you guys, so far this year, when I hired on, we were covering 2 cases, and those cases had been in service for, I think, 3 years at the time. We've now covered 20 cases so far this year, 5 of which have closed. Thank goodness, the 2 cases that were so long running. But of the 18 cases that we've taken on, 3 of those have closed, which is not standard. That's pretty fast to take on and close 3 cases in a matter of months. So that was very gratifying for me to see how quickly and effectively having a CASA advocate on a case can do good for the kids in the system. So we've increased our numbers, our advocates. We've got another gal starting training this at the end of this month. So we'll be up, once she's on and fully cleared, we'll be up to 6. So we're maxed out on our caseload right now. When she gets on, I've got cases laying in wait. So it's just a matter of picking what she's going to be best suited for. But I think I'd presented to you guys earlier this year, even with our numbers. So nothing's really necessarily increased other than our volunteer hours. Any questions on things?
I just see in 24 you got only 5 volunteers and the children served were 20. It's kind of high, so you're making that work. So, yeah, how's that going? I mean, because it seems like with that many children, 20, and that's the most in this whole packet.
Yes.
Right.
So we're back up to, so if you're looking at comparing numbers, children served in 2020 was 21. And we had a significant more number of advocates in 21. But a lot of what we're doing right here is sibling cases. So we have a sibling case where it's 4 kids. We have a sibling case where it's 5 kids. So that's part of it. And then we've had in this situation, like a sibling case of 2, and we had an advocate that had the chops to take on another sibling case of more. So anything that's over the high numbers, it has to be, everybody runs through it. The judge runs through it, the guardian ad litem runs through it, the advocate runs through it, I run through it. It has to be okayed and cleared by everyone. It's not just a decision where, hey, we want to jack up our numbers so we look good, so here comes your throat punch. It's decided on by everyone and agreed on that, okay, this is still going to be done right and done to satisfaction. So it has to be pretty much okayed by everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I have no questions. You can see the work you've done in the past year of trying to get this come around and brought back around from the COVID era.
Yes.
So I do appreciate that and the hard work that you're putting in.
Thank you. Thanks.
So-
Yeah, I'm very pleased. I mean, the advocacy part, I think, is back up. I mean, the judges are pleased. Everybody, I'm working with all 4 counties. We are covering cases in 3 counties. Still trying to get into Rooks. I've got, a good rapport with the judge up there, the district attorney up there. So we'll get there. Just need a little more time and funding to, afford it and get in there. But, things have definitely headed in the right direction, and the support in the whole judicial district's been fantastic. So, but thank you guys very much for your support as well.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
for
for what
coming
you
this
do.
morning.
Very welcome. Thanks.
Okay. Next, we have Northwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here, my name's Jolene Nernberger. I'm here on behalf of the Ellis County Council on Aging, which receives funding requests from the Northwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging and some other organizations in the area. Those serving on the Council on Aging are Orrin Winholtz from Hayes, Marilyn Stoffel from Victoria, and Mary Sauer from Hayes as well. And I just want to thank you for your past support of the services that are being provided to the aging population in Ellis County. And I want to thank Darren for shepherding us through the process again. He has to put up with me, and he deserves a thumbs up on that. The council is asking for a total of $120,412 for 6 agencies and organizations that come to the Council on Aging making requests. And the the Northwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging, of course, is one of those. They serve the Northwest Kansas counties as well as Ellis County. They're kind of a resource center for aging services. They're requesting $30,000, which actually meets their state and federal match, and they provide numerous services for the aging population that include home-delivered and congregate meals throughout the area through the different communities, Medicare and prescription drug counseling and enrollment, homemaking services, caregiver support, attendant care, personal care to individuals, and legal services among the many services they provide. The Ellis Nutrition Center, we're requesting $20,295 for the Ellis Nutrition Center. They provide congregate meals and home-delivered meals to the people in Ellis 4 times a week. They prepare their meals in Ellis, and a little bit of an increase for that organization that maybe could help them supplement the cost of meals that they provide to the people in Ellis. The foster grandparent program came in with the same request as in the past year, $8,552. It's to support 2 foster grandparent volunteers. These are limited income older people who provide mentoring and academic support to children with special needs in schools and daycare centers. The funding goes to support benefits or provide benefits to these individuals. A stipend, travel allowance, insurance, recognition, training that they receive for their services. The Senior Companion Program came in this year with a request of $18,000, which was less than in the past year. That would support 4 senior companions, the benefits for 4 companions, which would be the same types of benefits that foster grandparents receive. These are people, older people who have limited incomes, and they are matched with other frail elderly or homebound adults and go into their homes and try and help them with in-home support services, respite care for family caregivers. They can provide transportation assistance if that's needed, all of the many services that can help these folks remain independently in their homes. The reason for the decrease in the request for senior companions this year than in the past is that their budget was based on the number of hours that they provide a year. Last year, their budget was based on 1,040 hours, 44 hours a year. This year, it's based on 740 hours of service a year, and that's why there was a decrease in the amount of, or in their request. The Hayes Senior Center, we're asking for $39,565. They provide congregate meals, opportunities for socialization, informational programs, and entertainment. The reason for their increase was because of an increase in their facility rental. And the Victoria Meal Site. The Victoria Meal Site comes in, ever since I've been on the Council on Aging, I've aged with the council, frankly, and honestly, they have never requested an increase. And we've looked at this organization in Victoria who have provided services, not congregate meals, home-delivered meals throughout Victoria for years and years, and never asked for an increase in operational costs or in transportation costs for the people that have delivered the meals, for supplies. And the council just thought that it was important that they receive a little bit of funding so the people that are working in that community do not have to bear the costs of those types of expenses. And so we were asking for $4,000 for that organization. So the total comes to $120,412, as I said, which is somewhat less than last year. I don't know that anybody else has done that, but anyway, here we are. And with that, I would just like to say, thinking of this when I came over today, I would just like to mention and share with you that on behalf the Senior Companion Program this year is celebrating 50 years of service in Ellis County and in Northwest Kansas. They were one of the very original projects in the whole country, and they are sponsored by Fort Hays State University. And I wouldn't absolutely testify that they are the only senior companion program in the nation that has managed to maintain the same sponsor over all those years. 50 years of sponsorship of the university, 50 years of service to frail and adults and homebound individuals by utilizing lower income, limited income volunteers, and I think they should be commended. So I just want y'all to know about it, and hopefully you'll be able to attend maybe their celebration that they're going to be having in July. I hope y'all get an invitation. I'm not the person that sends them, but I hope y'all get an invitation. Anyway, I'd be happy to answer any questions that any of you might have about these organizations and agencies.
There's a lot underneath that umbrella.
Yeah,
You've
there's a
covered
lot of services that are being provided to older people who very much deserve the services that they receive. And we're trying to keep them all happy and independent in their homes if at all possible, so.
Are you having luck with volunteers?
Well, you know, with foster grandparents, senior companions, I think since COVID, there's been a decrease. And I think that's why maybe the recognition that maybe fewer hours and or less hours that are necessary to serve a week. At one point, they were 20 hours a week. I would just say back in the day when I was more involved with the program, these folks began serving for $1.60 an hour. The stipend is now $4 an hour, but it's still difficult because we're asking for a commitment on a regular basis, because these people who are homebound or, very frail and need in-home assistance in order to stay in their homes, they have other services, homemaking services and other types of services, but they don't have that friend that can come in every day to help them. It's harder to find folks. And with foster grandparents, one of the things that I noticed, and I think the program notices too, is when we look to recruit people, they're taking care of their own grandkids. So, that's something that has been a challenge as well. I think in other communities, it is difficult, just like with everything, to find folks to become more involved.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for the past support.
Thanks, Jolene.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Western Kansas Child Advocacy Center.
Hello again. Thank you for having me on a day when I'm actually on the agenda and not just barging in on y'all like last time. But I don't know how I did that, but apparently I did. Again, Don with the Western Kansas Child Advocacy Center. We are more than grateful for your folks' support. Without you folks, it'd be really hard to us to continue on our mission. And then just on our mission to kind of serve children out in this area and our other 34 counties. But so to kind of quick rundown on our statistics, what we kind of seen the last year. Don't remember if I gave that to you folks last summer, and I think it was just the last quarter, if I remember correctly. So for forensic interviews, which those are the interviews that we do assist law enforcement, DCF with, we're at 84 in this last year. Children in therapy last year, probably more than likely continue in therapy as well, 39 for a total of 346 sessions. Number of children that we provided advocacy for, 84, sorry. Total services, 628. medical services are provided to, medical examinations. We do work closely with the hospital here as well too, like the gals had mentioned from Options here, and then I believe they said Goddard are the only ones that said essentially they have a SANE SARNT program going. We're able to be mobile. I mean, we do have a joint cooperation with the hospital as well too. In the event that they don't have anybody on staff to perform those examinations, we're able to kind of come out and do that for the children that we serve. So there's no lapse. I mean, sometimes things happen. People on vacation, maternity, no longer with the hospital, that kind of thing. Those individuals that are certified for that. So we're able to do that. So it looks like we provided 12 in the last year. Court advocacy 19 times, and then we attended court 6 times here in this last year. Out in this area, a total of 220 children served, about 999 services provided as well out in this area. But it means a lot for us, for you folks to kind of support us in our mission to kind of help these children that have been victims of abuse, and to continue to provide not only the forensic interviews to kind of help offset, kind of help assist law enforcement and DCF in their process well too, but also not to re-traumatize these children as well too while that process is going. Nationwide, we're sitting at about 90%. I think I might have mentioned this last meeting. 90% of these children know who this individual is that's been accused. Our agency, within our 34 counties, we're sitting at about 97%. They have some sort of relationship with the family or with that child in some facet. So it's, unfortunately, it might be individuals this child cares about. So it's very important that child understands they are not in trouble. They did nothing wrong by coming forward. That's kind of a big reason why our agency exists as well too. And then also to provide those mental health services. It's huge, and not only to provide those mental health services, but also provide them free of cost. I think we're sitting at $150 an hour for therapy services to be provided for an individual. So for us to provide those for free with support from folks like you, it's huge. Especially when the statistics kind of rolling around as well too. And I kind of lean back on statistics a lot, but that's just kind of what the world is and what's being reported to us. And a lot of these statistics come from folks that don't necessarily have anything to gain. Hey, this is what I've experienced. Over 80% of the folks that have been incarcerated for any sort of substance abuse or are struggling with any sort of substance abuse have reported child abuse in their past. So it's very important for us to, hey, let's work with these children early to kind of hopefully offset that and just a better community all around. So give them that chance. So I believe we are asking for 8,000. I believe that is the same as last year. I'll have to double check that for sure. But yeah, if you folks have any questions for us.
Just thanks for what you do and take care of the kids, and
We'll do
your
what we can.
services are great. And you're fully staffed, or are you still a little short?
We are fully staffed, knock on wood. I feel like I put that out in the world and then I get back to the office. It's always a concern of mine. But no, we are fully staffed. We have one therapist, I believe, kind of wrapping up training with us as well too. Interviewer and advocates, I believe they're just finishing up the final stages of their training. We do quite a bit of training with our interviewers and our advocates just to make sure they're pretty squared away before we allow them to be on their own. It's very important to us, and it's very important for the whole process that they just are very familiar with our protocol. They're very familiar with our procedures, just to be a better asset to the child and to the county attorneys. And we just want to make sure they're very familiar and squared away with with the cases, and I guess as well too, that every case is always different. So it's not necessarily a set training. We do the best we can, but it's always constantly it's constantly changing from case to case too. So it's very important that we know these interviewers are comfortable with that. So,
are you seeing positive results from your intervention with these children?
Yes, it's kind of hard to measure that, but we do the best we can to at least inform as much as we can. With the work of our MDTs as well too, I didn't mention those. Ellis County also takes part in an MDT program essentially with us, which essentially it's law enforcement, DCF, community leaders, members of education, kind of sit and have a roundtable discussion on prevention or to prevent further abuse in certain cases. Some cases don't necessarily have enough to go to for charges to be filed, things like that. So that's when we might offer, hey, let's provide therapy for this child as well. Let's bring them in. Let's see what we can do. The more service we can provide in the home, the more the idea of what we know what's going on. Which that's been several times where we'll be starting services, and then a disclosure is made during therapy. So we're able to, okay, now we have more grounds to provide law enforcement to get this child safe. So yes, I think it's kind of hard to measure, but with your community being proactive as well too, hey, let's have roundtable discussions. Let's sit and talk about this. This is not a secret. We need to provide for these children. That says a lot about your community as well too. Hey, we're not willing to just kind of sit and act like things aren't going on. We want to sit and have an open discussion on what we can do. So.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for coming this morning.
Well, thank you for your support. So.
Hey, next we have Humane Society of the High Plains.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Betty Hansen. This is Jessica Free from the Humane Society. We'll make this pretty quick. I bring my boxer to work every day, and he's in the office by himself, so God only knows what chaos is happening there. So we're going to try to get back before the place gets ruined. Again, we are asking the same amount that we did last year. We tried to send you as much information as we could on numbers. I'll let you know, since 2024, we are again overwhelmed. We are seeing a tremendous amount of kittens with no mommies, bottle babies, the whole 10 yards. It's really hitting us this year. We do have a waiting list for dogs to be surrendered to come in for new homes. I think we're somewhere in the 28 to 30 range waiting on our list. So we're working on that. But we're very overwhelmed and very busy. But we are finding a lot of good homes and hopefully doing a lot of good. So, you got any questions for us? I think most of you know what we do. We talked the last time we were here about a lot of the strays being found in the county. That is about the same. It's not getting much better, but they do have to be dealt with. So we tried to put a few stories in our in what we sent to you, so you could see actual animals and how they come out.
Okay. Last time you were here, you had mentioned briefly that you may have to change your hours of operations or something along those lines. Is that still the case?
I don't think so. I think we're doing okay as far as, we're open 6 days a week. So people that work during the week do have access we're open weekends. Monday's the only day that we're closed. So would people like us to be open 24/7? Probably. But that's just not possible.
I thought it was for some funding situations that you were qualifying for some state funds that they weren't going to count.
I don't think that was
The
weekends?
state has changed the regulation on how long an animal has to be held for a straight
Okay.
period.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
we can't count, we're open 6 days a week, but we can't count Saturdays and Sundays. And since we're not
Or-
open Mondays, we can't count that day either. So some animals are staying for a full 7-8 days before
Yeah,
they go
we're
up for adoption.
we're holding longer than we used to.
Okay.
Because we're required, used to be like a 3-day hold, but now they're saying that, and we used to be able to count days that we were open. But since we're open Saturday and Sunday, they kind of slashed that and said, no, it has to be Monday through Friday. And we can't even count Mondays, so now we're Tuesday through Friday. Or holidays, or, we can't count those. So it's just a matter of keeping animals longer before they can go up for adoption.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, which just increases the cost.
yeah, that's a cost increase, but And that's new. I mean, I don't know how long that's been in effect, but we just got notified a couple of months ago about that. So used to be three business days, but so.
Well, thank you for clarifying that.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, keep
Any other-
adopting them out.
Yeah, we're trying. You know, we have a great adoption rate, and like I said, being a no-kill, that's why that waiting list is there. We've found that people are okay with waiting because they want their animal to, you know, sometimes they're just in a situation where they can't keep it. So they're willing to wait to get the space. You know, we could probably build onto the shelter, but you can only adopt out so many at a time. So people always say, well, why don't you put another building out there? Easier said than done, so.
Right.
But we appreciate your support every year, and like I said, hope to get it again next year.
Okay.
Thank
Well, thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you
ladies.
for coming.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have the Ellis Alliance.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I am the relatively new director over at the Ellis Alliance. I just started mid-April, so bear with me. So the Ellis Alliance is an umbrella organization. They house the Foundation of Ellis, the Ellis Area Chamber of Commerce, and we also house the Ellis Development Corporation. So we have all of those entities within our building, and I provide secretarial services to all of those entities that become members of the Ellis Alliance. And just to touch base on a few things that they are doing, the Ellis Chamber of Commerce has doubled its membership since 2018. I know last week when I checked, we had 79 businesses with 19 being outside of Ellis city limits. I do think that number has increased a little bit since last week. I do think we had some outstanding dues that have since been paid. Excuse me. We also we do our annual events such as the Ellis Citywide Garage Sales, Riverfest, the golf tournament, Easter egg hunt. So all of those. And then with the foundation sponsors the food pantry as well as the Summer for Kids food program, which we're really trying to get up and going. I know that the Hayes High School always has that, you know, big long line of the free lunches. So we're really trying to get that up and more involved in the community so people know that that's available. And then the EDC, the Ellis Development Corporation, they are continuing to work on zoning efforts to create more housing and more commercial buildings there in Ellis to continue to promote economic development. So, and if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Commissioner?
So, how are you liking it so far? If you just
I
jumped
love
on
it.
board in April.
I love it. My background is kind of in customer service secretarial, but my husband is a Hayes PD officer, and we just moved to Ellis at the end of December because we are from north central Kansas. We like the rural area. And so we really love it. We love that there is a lot of community growth and development, and I think that there's so many activities that just, you know, aren't marketed enough that I think that a lot of young families and community members would really benefit from. So.
Okay.
I know you have in the packet, you've got a lot of people involved in this, which is
Yes,
good.
we do.
Very good to have that kind of attendance in that, so. No.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming this morning. Next, we have Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good to see you guys. Thank you for having us here. I'm Jenny Bates, the area director for Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Ellis County. Want to first thank you for your continued support of our program through the last couple of years. You brought us on at a time where our growth needed help to be sustained, and it has helped us be able to continue serving the kids that are coming along with us and continue to grow as well our services and serve those more kids who are needing that one-to-one mentorship. We currently have 150 matches here in Ellis County. That means there are 150 children being served and meeting with volunteers. And that actually means a few more volunteers because some of those are matched with couples and families. So it involves a few more people than the 150. We're probably around 170, 175 when you consider everyone in the family who might be involved with that child. As you know, we are serving children who are facing some significant adversities in their life. Children, of household incomes of less than $35,000. 18% of the children we are serving have incomes less than $15,000. Children in single-parent homes. Families who have had contact, the child or families having contact with law enforcement, histories of substance abuse, alcohol abuse, different types of verbal, emotional, physical, sexual abuse. This is all going on with our kids in our schools, and those traumas are showing, in school and within their behaviors and some of the choices they're making. And so what we want to do is bring on someone in the community, a volunteer who can walk alongside them and help them hopefully just be there first to be a friend and an encouragement, and then that turns into a solid relationship that helps them start to make better choices and make better life decisions and see improvements in their life. Those traumas, can have life-altering effects in the future, but we know that if they can be connected with one consistent positive person in their life, that can help them become more resilient in those circumstances and for life later on. So that's what we do. We work to find volunteers in the community and pair them with that child when probably in most circumstances they wouldn't have met otherwise, and hope to help build and support a lifelong relationship between the two so that that child has that connection and that stability when maybe other things around them aren't like that in their lives currently. As I mentioned in the information you've got, in 2023, we served 216 children. This year in 24, we're projecting to serve about 222, so an increase. And we believe that will continue to grow again in 2025. Our waiting list numbers are up. We have about 51 children who are waiting right now. Last year at this time, we had enrolled 32 new children into the program. So far this year, we've enrolled 42 children. So thankfully, families are reaching out and wanting that support. So then we also have to work to find the volunteers. And then once we do that screening, we do a very thorough screening, background checks, interviews, references, home visits with the volunteer. And thankfully, so far this year in 24, we've had 44 new volunteers come, inquire with the program and go through training and to be matched with the children. Part of what we get to do is form different partnerships in the community. We have great support with different businesses and organizations who want to help us provide different activities and experiences for our matches so that our littles can get out into the community and experience those things that maybe they wouldn't get to otherwise. For example, in a couple of weeks, Precision Valley and the Hayes Larks join us and provide a day of mini golf. The littles get to have a day with the Larks to do mini golf. They have lunch together out at Larks Park, and then we get to go and sit together, and matches come out too as well to watch the game. Just be able to do those kinds of things. We're working with our matches to collect art that and crafts that they do together, and we're going to be a stop in the Art Walk coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So a lot of fun things going on. The Hayes Bass Anglers always do a fishing event for our littles. Just always looking for new and different ways to be able to provide different activities and experiences and help our bigs out too, our volunteers out with their time that they're giving to their little. And these businesses and organizations also help us with our efforts in recruiting new volunteers and fundraising as well. When our matches are matched, there's two different ways that our volunteers and littles, our matches can be involved. It's our community-based program and our site-based program, our school-based program. Community is getting out in the, meeting on their own time after school and the weekends. That's the majority of our matches, but we also have the option that if someone wants to go and meet with a child in school, they can do that over their lunch hour and go and have lunch, maybe help at school, help on some schoolwork, or it might just be a time to go in and sit and talk with the child. Sometimes the teachers see that that's just what that child needs for about 30 minutes, is someone to sit down with and connect with. So lots of good things going on, through all of that. And you can see on the handout that I gave you, the outcomes that we see. Children, when they're matched with this child, with a volunteer, they, through that time together and that person just being there consistently, their confidence is raised. That's the first thing. So then it helps them be more comfortable and doing other things. They're improving in their academics. They're reporting improvement in bullying situations. They're feeling less isolated and alone, and that's a big thing right now with a lot of our kids that we're working with. And, 96% of our littles say that their relationship with their big is important to them. And I think that says a lot about the impact and the relationship that is formed. So, and also, just looking at the different pictures, there's 3 different match pictures in that handout I gave you, of the 150 that we have. All of those kiddos have a different story and different circumstances that they're coming from, but in all of those cases, it's a special one-on-one time that they're able to spend with their big that has helped them overcome some pretty significant things in their lives and just be more involved in school. And in Piper's instance, trying out for things at school, and even when maybe she didn't make it the first time, she wasn't scared to try out again. So that's resiliency, and that's what we're doing. So we thank you for your support, and we hope that will continue for us in 25. We requested the same amount. So, do you guys have any questions?
I just have a comment. My heart goes out to you guys. When you look on all these different people that have come here today, the organizations, everybody is dealing in some part with kids. So, which is great.
Yes.
Hayes Arts Council, wherever, anything in our community, everybody's getting involved in.
Yeah.
It's great. Everybody work together. It works.
Right. It's our future.
Yeah. Thank you for your
Yeah.
service.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for coming this morning.
Welcome. Thank you.
Next, we have the Ellis County Historical Society.
You guys want to stand up, take a break? Stretch. Dressing. I need to too.
I've been waiting for this all morning.
Oh, good. I know. That's what I said. I told Brenda. I said, Jenny, we're the headliners. Nobody stayed for the headliners. They should have, but I think you probably have like 4 or 5 people watching, maybe. They're with us. They're with us. Anyway, we, Amanda Rupp with the Ellis County Historical Society. I come before you every other month, so I think you're pretty familiar with what we're doing and, what we've got going on. I did in your packet include just 2 questions that go along with our budget that I provided you that I kind of want to touch on for those that don't know, and just to get as much of my mouth out there for everybody to hear. The budget I put together every year is the best case scenario, obviously, that if we could function off of those numbers, we'd be doing extremely well. I look at those numbers compared to what other historical societies or museums or county museums and city museums are doing throughout the state, and I think the level of support that we request from the county and the city is comparable in a lot of ways. On the average, there's some communities that are very, very small that don't get any kind of thing, but they're not open as long. They just get enough to turn on the lights a little bit. Or there's larger cities that we would be more compared to, Garden City, Dodge City, some of those things, even Lawrence or Salina that get most of their funding from a public funding situation. So I think I did the numbers here today. I am not the mathematician on my board or more organization, but it's about 64% of our funding request is for the public funding from the county, and about 14.5% from the city, leaving us with about 21% to come up with ourselves. And as you've seen over the last couple of years, we have increased our ability to raise our own funds, and will continue to do so through different activities. The things that the county and the city public funds provide for us is not only the large complexes that we have, but a staff to run those, because as I mentioned in this, we are very capable of raising capital funds and bringing in projects to the county and the city to build on and to do those, if you know of any, matching funds from the state for operational funds like they have for all these other wonderful agencies. I would love to apply for those, but operational funds are a little bit harder to come by for something that's a quality of life or tourism kind of situation. So we appreciate the support you guys have given us when we were on the brink of death and have helped us back. So I just wanted to share a little bit about what those fundings go towards. We believe, and I think Butch asked me that very first year, that second year, you're gonna open up a new site, you're gonna create new bills for yourself, and you're going to come and ask us for more money. I think once we get to a substantial and a reasonable, a percentage of funds that operating funds, I think we can sustain that with a small staff that will take care of both sites. We anticipate that the Victoria site will, in essence, pay for itself with admissions fees. If we can partner with and we intend to, with the tourism track that comes through the Basilica, that's 15 to 18,000 visitors a year, and hopefully will certainly sustain the utilities cost, because there won't be a rent cost, and most of the day-to-day operations will be run by volunteers. So the same administration group that runs the current museum complex will run the Victoria complex. So I think it's a win for Ellis County and for our organization. So not only will we be bringing in tourism, because it's a regional kind of destination spot for the things that we will show at that museum, but we'll have a more dedicated gift shop and other kinds of things that will produce, county taxes and such. Just to say what is a sustainable budget for our organization, we currently still run on 3 part-time positions. My position is still considered a part-time position. Our curator is considered a part-time position, and our administrative assistant. We've gotten a lot done, and we're going to continue to do that and work with the flexibility of hours that we can fit within our budget. But I think it will be, I've got to search the ends of the earth, because it will be a shame if we have these wonderful facilities and are not able to utilize the resources that we have within our own office to gather more of those grants and those program situations that we can go after. Things that have worked to our benefit is we were able to utilize senior citizens or 3 of our staff members, our part-time staff members. I say we have 3 other part-time staff members. Excuse me, I was speaking of 3, and then anyway, I have a project person that's with me for just a number of weeks. I was able to allocate some funds for her to help with, but they're all senior citizens who are on who have a fixed earning amount. They can only get so much for with Social Security. So it works out well for them that they're able to continue having an outside life or having an outside job, and it works well for us that they're not looking for a full-time position. They're looking for something that can be sustained within their already living costs that they get from Social Security. So that has worked out extremely well for us, and we get to utilize their knowledge in bookkeeping or in archival work or other things. But the, what was I going to say? This is a first for me. I get off. Lost my place. Oh, I was looking at my other things. I spoke briefly with Darren last week or the other week about we're the only entity that's staying on the commission's ask instead of going to the Care Council for outside agency funds. That's a tourism or educational or quality of life thing, and we appreciate that. So I'm looking into the state and to other entities of where they're what requires other public fundings to operate a certain percentage of that. And I haven't looked at it. I have an appointment as well. I haven't looked at it in depth, but I was told by previous board members that there's other state statutes that say if a historical society or a museum or something in your county is has a full-time archivist on staff, that there's a procedure that allows them to request part of a levy or such and such. We're not that big. We're not hiring a full-time archivist. Those people come, they take the whole full levy for their salary. So I am dedicated to looking into other ways that we can either match funds through the state or find reasons that we are good for the county's budget in that aspect. And unbeknownst to me, I don't know why, but the Kansas Museums Association this year is, well, I know why they're doing this. They're putting together a study on where the other, how public funds are used towards museums and other entities like ours. And they've asked me to be on the panel because of the support that you guys have given us in the past couple of years. So I hope to come with you next year with more detail on how other entities like yours support organizations like ours and why it's a need, because I come up here and I can ask for $2 million, but you guys only have so many funds to give as well. And I just thank you for your guys' continued support. And then I also wanted to give out our walking tour brochure, because we did launch that last week. And there's an app on here so you can learn a lot more about your downtown. And I'll hand those over. And I'm sure I missed something, but I'm thinking about my next appointment. I'm sorry. Do you guys have any questions?
Not a question, just comment. We appreciate what you've done. It's always a pleasure to see when funds are spent and used to see positive results, and you've presented that very well. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to rewind and go look at the first meeting when we were here. But you have jumped leaps and bounds, and you've.
I'm telling you, you could put a nice little YouTube skit together with those.
Yeah.
I'm all for entertainment.
Thank you, and thank all the volunteers and all the hard
They
work
do
you've
wonderful
done.
work. So we're going to still go at it, and you might right now we're in a building phase and a reorganization phase, but we're almost to the end of that, and you're going to see some bigger results in county or in participation in events and things that we can host on our own. So I say that I would love a staff of 3 full-time and 3 part-time. Can we work with a staff of 4? Absolutely. And we'll make it work, and as long as we continue to be part-time and don't offer benefits and things like that, we're able to be flexible where at the end of our tight budget, if that needs to be done, then we will make sacrifices at other places. So,
If I've missed it, has there been tours with some of the children in Hayes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
there's, so we not only had our Pioneer Day, I don't think I've spoken to you guys since that happened, but we had 166 children on campus. Ellis School came over, and 3 or 4 other 3rd grade classes from Hayes came over, and they had a wonderful time. We had the Hayes Rodeo group come. The extension agents came over, a lot of other different agencies, and people helped us with that. So,
Good.
Very good. Okay.
anyway,
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming this morning.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Amanda. Can't wait till the next time. You'll have something up your sleeve.
Okay. Next, we have the Hayes Arts Council.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. You'd think maybe the hardest part would be getting up here to do this, but the hardest part of this is sitting there for that long, knowing all the things that you could be doing back at the gallery, because there's 1,000 things on the docket. But I'll tell you another good thing, though, that I realized was, and first of all, just in case anyone didn't know, I'm Brenda Mader, the director of the Hayes Arts Council, and I respectfully request your time today. Okay, we got that out of the way. Now, here's the good part, is having sat out here and listened to all the other agencies and information prior to coming up here. One thing as I was just getting ready to come up, it was like, my goodness, most, maybe not all, but most of these agencies are organizations and entities that the Hayes Arts Council has had the good fortune to be in collaborative partnerships with, to have worked with, to have helped increase awareness by aligning and bringing on board with a project. And that is really, really awesome, because one of the things that I noticed as we were hearing that is whether it's through an art walk, and we're maybe featuring exhibitions, showcases with Options or Janice Campaign, inviting the Ellis County Historical Society, who's always a wonderful partner, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, as Jenny mentioned, being on. There are so many. It's been a while, but remember years when CASA was on, and DSNWK has an incredible collaborative partnership because of creative opportunities with the university. We have them on the art walks, and I realized how many of those things that there are. Even with the Ellis Alliance, we support the Arts Council, even the Ellis Chamber, by providing easels and display options when they have their newly instituted art walks every fall. A young man who's a student at Victoria High School, wonderfully engaged, has become an ex officio youth representative on our board of directors. And so I've realized it completely pinballs around the entire gamut. And why? Because we know that the arts matter. Unlike many of the agencies that have come before you today, our purpose for being isn't as closely aligned with hardcore community need, times of distress or struggle or trauma or a problem that they are working so hard to address and fix. But we know that communities thrive in arts and cultural situations that provide a sincere quality of life to the community. We also know that there is even a growing trend, and there's articles and things, we don't have to go into all that, but that indicate that people are finding, if they are finding communities whose quality of life is at a certain level, where they know that there's going to be good schools, engagement, entertainment, and appreciation for cultural aspects, they will move to that community knowing that if that's all there, if that's all being taken care of, if that is something being validated and celebrated, they're going to find jobs when they get there, because people want to live in places that are worth living in. It is so important as individuals, as societies, as communities. We all know we need to feed our pocketbooks. We need to feed our wallets. But if we're not feeling our souls and our spirits and our hearts as part of that, what's the point? So we go into every elementary school in all of Ellis County, public and private, multiple times of the year to present to these young people, to provide cultural and arts experiences while they're engaged in these cross-curriculum. Every one of those things we bring in has these greater stories or these cross-curriculum components. The kids don't always know it, but it might be math or reading or social studies, but it's done in a way that allows it to be absorbed. We know those things matter because oftentimes many of the things, whether it's the visual arts or the performing arts, are exactly some of the very aspects of programming these other entities use in their services. DSNWK, Center for Life Experiences, with the Healing Groups for Youth, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, CASA. People include the arts and that personal self-expression, that opportunity for creativity and putting things out there, like our creative writing contest, where we do receive prose and poetry entries where young people are expressing themselves. The same kinds of things that they do with many of these entities perhaps will provide the opportunity for that to happen before they need to look toward the services of some of these other entities, or maybe we'll lessen the edge a little bit. But we have thousands of people come through our place annually for the art walks, which are free. To be on them is free. The programming we provide to the schools, we work hard to get grants for. We provide services for community events like the Oktoberfest by providing announcing services and things as an organization. We are connected. We put ourselves out there for the benefit of the Humane Society at Super Bowl events. The Arts Council's been represented. We engage, we use our social media platforms to help promote things that are going on with other cultural entities in the community. Because if we can bring an elevation and a validation and an awareness to what they're doing, we elevate our city and our county as a whole. And again, sometimes that validation is as much as anything. This $5,000 very minimal request, and we haven't been here for quite a few years, as you saw in your information. The money is important, but more important than that is the validation that your support would provide the Hayes Arts Council. Not to us only internally, but when we are applying for grants, to show that buy-in from city and county government goes a really, really long way. And so we want to provide validation when we can to other entities that are utilizing arts and cultural experiences to elevate who they are. And I respectfully, on behalf of the Arts Council today, ask you for that validation as we near our 57th anniversary of operation, never missing a beat in serving Hayes and Ellis County. And as the first Arts Council formed in the state of Kansas, we hope you will be able to consider our proposal. Any questions from anyone?
You're involved in a lot of stuff, like you said, the Oktoberfest. You've also got the children involved in everything.
Oh, that's an incredibly high priority for us. Famous Figures, creative writing, the programs in the schools, the summer art classes. We've got kids over there right now making, I have no idea what, but they're expressing, they're looking, they're digging, they're painting, and it's a good thing.
Yes, it is. Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you all very much.
Appreciate
Thank you for
coming
your
this
time.
morning. Thank you. Okay. Back to with that, do we have county administrator report, or am I missing?
I'll take you.
Okay. Commissioner reports?
Yes, I did go to the Grow Hayes meeting when they, announced the new shopping center. Then I also went to City of Hayes workshop. One of the deals there, and I'm sure everybody's heard with the UTVs, so they're going to vote on that this Thursday. A little bit different, but if you need to find information, look on the website or go to one of the city meetings. Also, yesterday delivered some tree limbs out, a little bit of volunteer work out to the landfill, and talked with Justin and his employees out there for, I don't know, a little over a half hour. They were all seemed pretty happy, and they were busy, and I guess we do have one little issue out there with the speaker. When I drove across the scale, it was not good, so we need to kind of look into that. And then I also did last night, went to the Shenshin meeting, and everything was good there, and they're pretty happy, and they got some water line projects going on, and they're good, and just thank me for coming. So that's all I have.
Okay. Well, at this point, I have no report at this time, so we will adjourn today's meeting at 10:38. Thanks.